everyone. I hope you're doing okay. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes just to see if anybody jumps on. If you're here and watching, say hello. And if you're watching on replay, just put hashtag replay. I am Manisha. I'm from Nurturing Mama and I support mums and their mental health from pregnancy to toddlerhood. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a really common issue that comes up, which is anxiety. I'm going to talk about what it is briefly and then a few ways that you can manage it. I think especially with COVID, I found anxiety to be something really common that's happening with mums who are not only pregnant or just had a baby, but later on as well. And it's one of those things that we don't tend to talk about much. We don't know how to really deal with. So hopefully you can take some stuff away today that could help you manage it a little bit better if anxiety is something that you are struggling with. I'm just gonna see if anybody jumps on. If you have any questions, do post them on and I'll try and reply and answer them on here. If not, I'm in the group, so tag me in and I will answer them later on outside of the live. So just feel free to answer any questions and ask any questions that you have. So I'm going to quickly go through what anxiety is. And anxiety, the way that it works is very similar to fear. It's based on our adrenaline rising. It happens when we're feeling uneasy or scared or worried, and it's a natural mechanism that our body has to protect us. A small amount of anxiety is absolutely fine because it's our body's way of kind of telling us that we need to be careful, but it's when it's something that we're dealing with a lot more than we'd like, that's when it starts affecting us and we want to try and do something about it. So the first thing I wanted to kind of go through was the emotional symptoms of it, and the emotional symptoms would include things like restlessness, difficulty concentrating, feeling agitated or constantly worrying, thinking about the what ifs, and also maybe feeling a little bit more irritable and less tolerant with other things that are happening around you. A lot of anxiety comes from either previous trauma or worrying about what's going to happen in the future. So if you've had a difficult experience, then that could trigger anxiety for upcoming kind of years, because you're thinking about and you're relating things back to whatever it is that triggered you, or things like pregnancy and having a baby, because it's a huge change in our life. We're always thinking about what ifs and wanting to protect our children and make sure we're doing all the right things. So that's why it's one of the things that comes up quite often with my clients when they're pregnant or just after having a baby, and something that they probably weren't expecting as part of motherhood. So with the physical symptoms now, because when anxiety is affecting us a lot, then we do get physical symptoms, and they can include things like insomnia, so finding it really difficult to sleep, headaches, sweating, difficulty breathing, nausea, and it can also make us feel more tired. So there's fatigue as well and increased heart rate. So if you're, especially at that moment when you're having loads of things going on in your head, you will feel that your heart is beating really, really fast. So I'm just going to go through a few things now of ways that you can try and manage it yourself. And everybody is different. So I would suggest trying one thing at a time. And if there's anything in there that you feel, okay, I feel I can do that, try that first. Don't try and do all of the things at once, because it can get really overwhelming. And I normally with my clients would explore kind of what they're currently doing, what's triggering the anxiety before giving them any advice on actually how to manage it. So the first thing is to accept that anxiety is something that you're managing. It is a normal part of motherhood to an extent, but telling yourself that you shouldn't be anxious doesn't actually help. It's probably going to make you feel worse. So the first thing that I want to say is that if you are dealing with anxiety and struggling with it on a regular basis, then accepting it as part of who you are and something that you're dealing with is a really good step to then look at ways to actually manage those emotions. And you want to try and focus on controlling and managing the things that you can control, things like your behavior and your thoughts, and your environment, and let go of the things that you can't control. So if you're worried about things that are going to happen in the future, this obviously when we become parents, there is so many things that are uncertain when it comes to children, and you want to try and let go of those things that you can't control and try and focus on the things that you can. And hopefully some of the things that I will go through today will help you do that. But the first step is accepting it. So with me personally, I think I was in denial for quite a while, and that didn't help me. Whereas I think if I had accepted it a lot earlier on, then it would have been better for me, and it wouldn't have got as bad as it did. And the other thing is creating structure. So especially with COVID at the moment, especially with the demands of motherhood and the uncertainty that it brings, it's really important to create some form of structure. And it helps you to feel stable. It helps you to feel more in control. And a lot of the times the anxiety is there because the feeling of not being in control. So when you create a structure, it gives you a bit of routine, and you don't have to have a solid routine. Something that works for you and something that's quite flexible. So it could either be so if you've got little babies at home, then maybe a weekly timetable of things that you are going to do that week, or if you're working as well, then blocking out time for work and blocking out time for kids and blocking out time for family and self-care, that kind of stuff. You want to schedule that in, so you're not constantly thinking about all the things that you want to do and going on from that to-do list, but not having a massive to-do list, because that's not going to help. I suggest my clients to have a daily to-do list of things that, you know, realistic ones of things that you want to get done that day. And then there's also things like meal planning that is really helpful, because that's one aspect of your life that you don't have to stress about every single day. And if you can maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday sit down and do your weekly plan, not only does it help you with your grocery shopping and food wastage, but it actually just helps you to let go of then having to think about what am I going to cook for dinner every day. So that's one thing that you can focus on getting organised. The second thing is starting your morning with intention and mindfulness. And it's really simple. So I'm going to just go through it. It's really, really simple way of just starting your morning. You want to sit up, you want to relax your body, and you want to be aware of your body. You then want to breathe in 3 times, really deep breaths. And when you breathe out, you want to blow out as if there's a candle in front of you which is lit. You want to blow out so slowly that you're not going to blow it out. So it's just taking in that initial deep breath and the longer breath out. And then you want to ask yourself, what is your intention that day? And if you've had your to-do list done the night before, you can go through that. But even just one task that you want to complete, or the kind of day that you want to have, starting that day with the right intention can really help us start that day feeling calm and positive and settling that initial anxiety that you might have in the beginning of the day. The third thing I would say is starting a creative therapeutic hobby, a project, something that is outside of your kind of the things that you do for children, your kids, and for your work, something that is just for you. And it could be anything like drawing or knitting or painting or writing. Maybe you like writing poetry, that kind of stuff. Think of something that you enjoy doing that you feel you can just take, even if it's 20 minutes a week or 10 minutes a day. Start a hobby, because they can be really good at processing whatever's going on within you through the creativity. And it also gives you some time for self-care and to settle those anxieties, not kind of be on hyper alert all the time. It gives you that time just to be. So it's something that I think we don't always put as priority, and it's sometimes I've heard loads of moms say, I don't know what I would do. I really don't know what I would do. Maybe think about things that you used to do before you were before you had the kids, or something that maybe you did when you were younger that you've kind of stopped doing. And it could even just be reading, getting a book that you wanted to read for so long and taking some time to read it. So doing something that is creative and therapeutic is a really good way to manage and let go of some of those anxieties that you're feeling. The next thing is getting some time outside. It's really, really important to, even if it's 10 minutes, just to get some sun in you. Not only is it good for vitamin D, but it naturally helps to lift your mood and settle the anxieties that you're having. If you are, especially if you're in a situation where you're at home and you're feeling stressed, just get yourself in the garden or, you know, outside the front door and just stand there for 5 to 10 minutes and get some sun in. And the fresh air and the breeze will really help you to kind of get back into reality, and whatever it is that you're struggling with, that can kind of be put to the back, and you can start focusing on the here and the now. And that's the thing with anxiety. When anxiety starts and when you get those thoughts coming, you want to find a way to manage them at the time. You want to find a way to get them settled rather than going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So getting some sunlight outside every day is really, really important. The next thing, I know this is one that a lot of mums do struggle with, but it's really, really important, and it's exercising. Even if you're doing 20 minutes for 3 days a week, it's really important to fit it in. It helps with the symptoms that anxiety, that those emotional and physical symptoms that anxiety brings. So things like a lack of concentration, it really helps to boost our concentration, and it helps to settle any kind of fatigue that we're having, make us feel less tired, gives us a boost of energy. It also releases endorphins, and it helps to release, when you're exercising, it helps you to release that inner stress and anxiety that you're feeling. And if it's not something that you've not been doing for a while, even starting with something gentle like walking or yoga or Pilates, something like that, you know, but just taking that 20 minutes, three to four times a week, and put it into your schedule. If this is something that you're struggling with and struggling to start, then get in touch with me, and I can talk you through ways to start when things are already, when you already feel like you've got loads of stuff going on and you don't have time, and we can have a chat through how you can start implementing that into your week. But it is really, really important to do a bit of exercise every day if you can, but if not, at least 3 times a week if you can. The next thing I would say is something that I actually do with my clients, which is talking therapy. I think we have this assumption that, you know, talking therapy or counselling or talking to someone is only for those who have diagnosed conditions, and they are then referred to counselling by their GP or their mental health practitioner. But actually, we all need someone to talk to, and having a safe space and an outlet and someone who is solely focused on you at the time and you know is going to be non-judgmental is amazing at just talking things out. Because when we talk things out and we say things out loud, not only does it make it more real, but naturally it makes our minds working on ways that we can then help to deal with it better. And then also having somebody listening to you with no interruptions, and you're able to just get out whatever it is that you're feeling inside you, just helps you to not only become more aware of yourself, but it helps you to understand what might be creating that anxiety, what might be starting or triggering that anxiety, and then what do you feel you need to do to make it better. So it's, if you can find someone that you can talk to, even if it's for 20 minutes a week, it could be a really good friend of yours or it could be a professional, but having that outlet and making that time for yourself and creating a safe space for you to just let go of whatever is going on within you is really, really helpful. And moving from that, quite naturally, one of the things that I actually encourage my clients to do quite regularly is journaling. And I think journaling is one of those things we feel, okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't have anything to say. And we have this expectation where we have to write like a whole page of stuff. But actually, even if it's just words that you're writing down of whatever it is that you're feeling at the time, then that could really, really help with processing those inner emotions. And if writing isn't something that you feel you can do, because writing doesn't come naturally to everyone, then drawing is really good. Just, you know, or like I said, just putting down words. And you can do it in a notebook or a journal, or you could do it on your phone. There are quite a few journaling apps out there, so you can just spend 2 minutes at the end of the day before you go to sleep writing down a few words of how you felt that day was, and then a few words of what you want the next day to be, and that will just help you to process whatever's gone on for you that day. The last two are really also important, and things that we kind of think, well, the first one I'm going to talk about is diet. We don't tend to think that diet has a huge link on our mental health, but there have been studies done that have shown that the gut and your mind are actually linked, and what you eat can affect your mental health. So you want to make sure, first of all, that you're drinking enough water, and even if you have to get yourself a bottle and filling it up and giving yourself a target of drinking a certain amount a day, it's really, really important to stay hydrated. Also, you want to be avoiding caffeine, and I'm not saying don't ever drink tea or coffee, but just maybe limit it. And if insomnia is something that you're struggling with, then maybe by 6:30 you say to yourself you're not going to have any more caffeine. The other thing is making sure you're eating the right foods. So your diet is filled with fruit and veg. It's really important to get those natural vitamins and minerals in you. And the thing is with this is not a quick fix. It takes a while, so it's really, really important, but it can really help you. And then the last thing is if none of these things you feel are helping you and you're really, really struggling with anxiety, then go and speak to your GP, because there is medication, if necessary, that you can take. And for some people, medication is necessary. But for some reason, we feel we don't want to do that. So if you feel some of these things that I've spoken to you about today isn't helping you, then go and speak to your GP and see if they can help you with medication. I hope that's been useful for you. If you've got any questions or anxiety is something that you are struggling with, get in touch with me, or ask any questions on here. If you wanted to join my group, I have a group where I support mums and their mental health from pregnancy to toddlerhood, which you're more than welcome to join, and I'll put the link on here. But I hope you found that useful, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.